Welcome to Fitzdog Radio. I'm on vacation with my lovely wife, Erin, and we're having a very nice time. We're in Escondido, California, which is about 30 miles north of San Diego. There's hills in the background. We caught a nice stretch of 80-degree weather. We're in this resort. It's got like 8 pools and a bunch of workout centers and a golf course, a frisbee golf, pickleball, sand beach volleyball, saunas, steam rooms, everything. It's this resort. It's a Hyatt resort, and I got an email, and this is what a cheap fuck I am. I get an email because of my Hyatt frequent flyer card, and they say, do you want to come spend 4 nights in this beautiful resort for $200, and we'll give you $100 in hotel credit. All you got to do, as always a catch, is you got to take a 90-minute timeshare. Timeshare tour. And I'm like, how bad can it be? It's 90 minutes out of 4 days, and I get to go away for $100. So we sign up, and we come out. And the room is fucking nice. It's like a big-ass suite with a deck and 2 fireplaces, a couple bathrooms, a big kitchen. Little 1970s. It could use an update, but it's nice. And the resort is beautiful. But then we get to the tour, and I get this guy who is just fucking hates everything we stand for and doesn't realize it. One of these guys that's been in Orange County for so long, they think everybody thinks the same way. And he goes, oh, you live in L.A.? Yeah, Hollywood, huh? It's really dragging everybody down. It's really, what about all the homeless? So how do you guys live? God bless you guys for living with it. I say, all right, good opener. And then he asks Erin what she does, and she says she's a doula. And she goes, oh, yeah, what is that, for fancy people? Yeah, for rich people that then put their kids in private schools and coddle them? And she's like, no, actually, I work with middle-class people. I do not take on clients like that. What do you do? I'm a comedian. Oh, what about the woke culture? How do you do it with the woke? Well, there is no woke culture in comedy clubs, douche. I fucking say whatever I want. So does every other comedian. Nobody controls what you say in a comedy club or on a fucking podcast. You say whatever you want. This guy's been brainwashed, and then and then he asked me if I'm retired. Retired! I'm 57 years old. I'm not fucking retired, you son of a bitch. Yeah, I'm a little gray. I got a couple wrinkles in my neck. Maybe I seem sluggish. Maybe I limp a little when I walk, even though I'm not injured. But I'm not retired, God damn it. I got another year. I got at least 2 years before I retire. That reminds me of the Jewish joke where the son asked the father, he goes, Dad, can I have $20? And the father goes, $18? What are you going to do with $16? If I gave you $14, you would take that $12 and you would just spend the $10. And Andy Kindler does a much better version of the joke. Anyway, we're having a good time though. We played pickleball. I want to get out and play some golf, but it's a little weird when you're on vacation with just your wife and you're like, all right, why don't you sit home for 5 hours while I go hit a fucking ball around a course and come back angry? How about that? So, by the way, very excited about my show today. I'll do the intro in a minute, but Eddie Izzard, or now it's Susie Izzard, although she does not mind being called Eddie. It's not like a big stickler for her. It's whatever you want to say, really, which really lets you off the hook. I am so excited that I got to interview her last week. She's amazing. I've been a fan for 25 years. And whatever, I'll talk about her in a minute, but I'm excited. What else? Aaron Rodgers last night. We watched Monday Night Football. And Aaron Rodgers, who they've spent, I don't know how many millions of dollars to bring him to the Jets, and all the hype, Hard Knocks on HBO, tracking the summer training, I mean, it's the biggest football story out there this year. And 3 plays into the game, the guy fucking snaps his Achilles tendon, and he is out for the year. But after 3 plays, they bring in Zach Wilson, who's the backup quarterback, who was supposed to be the starting quarterback when he got recruited a couple years ago. I think he might have been the Heisman Trophy winner, but he was definitely like a first-round draft pick. And they put him in to take the snaps after Rodgers comes out, and this motherfucker goes on to win the game in overtime. Not to say I shouldn't say he won the game. Jets defense won the game. And I would also say that Josh Allen lost the game for the Bills. He threw 3 interceptions, fumbled it. Really bad performance by him. And then a miracle punt return for touchdown in the end. But anyway, if you're not a football fan, it was a fucking amazing game. Even Erin's not a huge football fan, but she was on the edge of her seat. It was really exciting. So to the Jets fans, this could be it, kids, and maybe it's without Aaron Rodgers after all. Wouldn't that be the sports story of the decade? That this kid takes them all the way, because Rodgers is not coming back, folks. He's fucking toast. I don't know that they're going to stick with Zach Wilson. Who knows? But I've had a good week. Went to the beach a couple times. Here's the thing about LA is we don't get our summer until September and October. I don't know what the fuck that is, but that's when we get the hot weather, like the beach weather. So I went to the beach twice this weekend. I did yoga on the beach, rode my bike I was just all about the beach this weekend, and it was beautiful out. Hung out with my friends Josh and Rachel. They're back from Maine. And Josh is nice enough his father was a pretty famous artist. And he has a bunch of his father's works in storage. And he's about to ship them to New York because they're doing a big gallery. They're doing a big show in New York of his father's work. So I said, God, we really need some art. Can I look at them? I mean, I don't know. Was that pushy? I was like, can I buy one of them? He's like, no, I'll give you one. And so he went to the storage place and he picked one out for us. Didn't send us a photo, just picked it out. And now he's going to give it to us tomorrow, but we don't know if we're going to like it. What if it's horrible? I've never seen his father's artwork. But either way, we must put it up in our living room. There's no choice now. It's going up. This is like a fucking Seinfeld episode. So we'll see. Anyway, listen. I want to talk a little bit about this show is brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp helps you at times in your life where do you have racing thoughts that keep you up at night, wake you up early, prevent you from enjoying your life? Do you have racing thoughts coming around the outside? It's never going to work again. Never going to work again. Coming to the home stretch neck and neck with shoulda bought Bitcoin. And now coming up from behind, am I gay? I don't know. Do you have those thoughts? I do. I mean, every diss that's happened to me, every mistake I've made, they're in there and they just circle around. It's unbelievable. And I cannot fall asleep. So one way to get rid of these thoughts is to sit down with a professional and discuss them and get into some cognitive behavioral therapy where you can actually, I sat down with somebody from BetterHelp for about 2 years. They matched me up with a therapist and she was amazing. And she got me to recognize when I was having a negative thought and then replacing it. You can realign your neurological pathways and you can replace negative thoughts with positive ones, and it's life-changing. The best thing about BetterHelp is you can do it from your home, in your car, wherever you can get some internet. You can do your online therapy and you will benefit from it. It's much cheaper than in-person therapy. You fill out a brief questionnaire and they match you up with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists if you like. And the results are unbelievable. So get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Fitzdog today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Fitzdog. All right. Here's another thing you stress out about. A lot of us think about buying tickets. We want to go to an event. Maybe your favorite artist is in town, but you think, I don't have the money for that. Who am I? I'm just a simple guy from Ohio or wherever the hell you live, whatever horrible place you live. But you think Cleveland, great city. Cincinnati, okay city. Akron, not a good city. But Ohio's not bad. Anyway, what am I talking about? I live in LA, and I'm looking at the app right now, and I'm looking at the Lumineers are going to play multiple locations. Right now, the price is at $133. But here's the thing. The app will update you. You can look at this app. We won't update you. You got to look at it, but you're going to see prices go down. Don't get fooled into buying them early. If you're just patient, you can watch the app and you'll see them. Brandi Carlile playing tonight, multiple locations. Her tickets are going for. It says stay tuned. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's sold out. The app is really easy. Couple of taps and you can get the tickets right on your phone. No downloading, no transferring to another app. There's no printing. It's just easy. In your phone, you show up, you show your phone, you get in. You can take a look at what it looks like from your tickets. They've got views from the app. You can see what it looks like from your seats. There's a guarantee that if you find the same tickets in the same section in a row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Enjoy. Don't stress out about going to concerts. Enjoy the fact that you're going to get them for less than ever before. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Fitzdog for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Fitzdog for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. There you go. I'm not buying football tickets this year, and I'll tell you why. Well, rarely do I buy football tickets. When I do go to games, it seems to be I would never shell out money for a game. I would much rather watch a football game from my couch. I want to hear really manly men, guys with a lot of testosterone, with deep voices that take ice baths. I want these guys explaining the details of the play to me. I don't want to be in a stadium watching one play every 9 minutes and then, I don't know, sitting in the freezing cold. When I was a kid, we had tickets to Giants games. We had season tickets because my father worked for WNEW AM, and they covered the Giants games on the radio. So we used to get tickets anytime we wanted. So we used to go all the time. And I was probably 8 or 9, maybe 10. And our seats were directly in front of a glassed-in, those luxury boxes where they're glassed in, and everybody outside's got on fucking 3 layers and scarves and hats and a hot thermos of coffee to keep you warm. And then these guys are inside, T-shirts, laughing. And so one week, my parents, they're looking for me, and they're sitting in the seats going, what the fuck happened to Greg? And they hear a tapping on the glass inside the booth. They turn around. There I am. Hot dog in my hand, little hot chocolate, smiling, hanging out. Just snuck right in. Everybody just thought I must have been somebody's kid. And then my sister and brother caught on, and the 3 of us would sneak into that booth every week and watch the games in the warmth and beauty of rich people. Oh, loved hanging out with the rich people. And then, I've been to see the San Francisco 49ers, and a fan runs something at the 49ers, and he walked us down to the field, and he got us nice ticket. Bored out of my mind. I just don't enjoy it. I like watching it on TV. I like betting on it. I've got I'm I'm in a suicide pool where I won it. Last year, I won the suicide pool, 200 people, and I split it with 2 other people, made it to the final week. I've been in the top 5 twice. I'm good at this shit. I got a strategy. I'll explain to you one time when I have more time. Let me get to a couple quick emails. This guy, Blake Bick, says, have you seen any of Colin Quinn's new videos on YouTube? He's walking around the neighborhoods of New York and explains the history of them and how he remembers them. Pretty cool. I thought you might like it. That sounds amazing. I'm going to definitely check that out. Speaking of Colin Quinn, Rich Voss has a new special that's out on YouTube that you should check out. Rich Voss is fucking hilarious. I haven't seen the special yet, but I'm sure it's good. Mike says, love your podcast, hoping I can settle a disagreement among friends. When you're wearing pants with a zipper and you go to take a piss, is it proper to pull your dick out through the hole in the underwear and zipper in the pants, or unbuckle your belt, unbutton your pants, and unzip zipper, and then pull the wang out of the underwear and over everything? Well, first of all, you'd never put it through the hole in the underwear. That's ridiculous. That's like that's like you got to take a couple hard turns through there, and it's not worth it. You unzip your pants, and then you reach your hand in through the zipper above the underwear, grab the penis and balls. That's the key. You got to get your penis and your balls out the zipper, and then you pee. If you leave the balls inside, there's going to be a lot of dripping. There's going to be a lot of spraying. You got to get the whole unit outside. Then you can give it a couple good little swings around when you're done, so there's no leakage. I hope that answers your question, Mike. All right, we had some overheards. We'll get to them soon. Right now, I want to talk about, I was talking about sports betting. Football's back. It's the first week was this past week. It's going to be an amazing season. And if you want to get some action in, the best way to do it is DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet $5 on football and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. I mean, that it sounds like an unbelievable deal, but I did it last year and I had a blast. I won, I can't remember how much I won some money. So get in on the NFL Week 2 action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code GregFitz to sign up. New customers can bet just $5 and take home $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbet with code GregFitz with a Z at the end. The crown is yours. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.sot1800gambler.net in New York. Call 877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE New York 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling at 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. See sportsbook. All right. So anyway, this next guy, woman, I should say, is one of the best stand-up comedians in the world, has been for 25 years. She is, I was put in touch with her through Michael O'Brien, who does my publicity and also does hers. Went to see her show in New York many years ago, Dressed to Kill, was blown away. She just finished a solo version of Dickens' Great Expectations. She performs in Arabic, French, German, Russian, and Spanish, and English. Are you shitting me? Does stand-up in all those languages. On top of being dyslexic. Has run 43 marathons in 51 days. Another time she ran 27 marathons in 27 days. Another time she ran 28 marathons in 28. It's insane. I could go on with her credits, but she's won 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for specials. She's acted in the Lego Batman movie, Ocean's 12, Ocean's 13, 6 Minutes to Midnight, Circle, Stripped, Anyway, amazing resume, amazing act, and she's about to hit the road hard. We're going to list the tour dates later. But here's my conversation with the amazing, should we say Susie? The thing is about Eddie is, I'll say Susie Izzard or Eddie Izzard, whichever you prefer. Enjoy her very much as I did.
Oh, yes, very good. What am I linking through? What area are you broadcasting?
I am in Venice Beach, California.
Very good.
Home of Jim Morrison and a lot of people that are aspiring to be Jim Morrison.
Yes, I would guess so. It's interesting he ended up in Paris. I do love Paris. I don't think he planned to end up with it. Do you think? I don't think he planned to. Did he? What do you think?
To die there?
Yeah. I don't think. I hope he didn't. Well, I mean, it's quite a place to die if you're going to pass away, and it's quite a place. Oh, lost you.
Yeah, I think he's buried next to. Is he buried next to Blake or somebody like that, or Dylan?
In Père Lachaise. I mean, it's pretty good that they got him in. You would think the French can be very. Well, it's got to be considered a great person, but they put him into the great person category, and they gave him Père Lachaise.
What did you think of his poetry versus his music?
I don't know his poetry so well. Poetry intimidates me. A lot of literature intimidates. Why I'm doing Shakespeare and doing Hamlet, because I need to walk towards things that scare the poo out of me.
Yes.
So I'm afraid I'm not a student of his. Not knowledgeable of his poetry. What was it like for you? What was it? Do you know his poetry well?
Well, it was very influenced by Baudelaire, and also I think there was a mixture of the Beat Generation in there. Some Bukowski and Jack Kerouac and all those guys.
I would love to have a better handle on it, but in life you get a handle on this section, and then you get a handle on that section, and then people come with this. I don't know about that section. Okay. And then the philosophers, and my brother was talking to me, and he's the academic, he's the intellectual in the family, and he said, "What you're talking about existentialism all the time." And I'd heard this term existentialism all my life, but it's about existence. That's what we're talking about. Existence.
Yes.
And it was only about the time my brother sort of brought it up that I thought, oh, really, that's what I'm doing. So he can articulate what the hell I'm doing, and I just go and do things, being kind of, I feel my way into things because I was into, severely atypically dyslexic. So words on the page is not something I'm going to grab. Words.
I was curious about that because you speak, you not only speak, but perform in Arabic, French, German, Russian, Spanish, and obviously English.
Well, the Arabic and the Russian on the list, but they're not quite there yet. But the other three, four including English, are there.
So how does somebody with severe dyslexia take on new languages? So do you do?
Well, of course, I just go to the country and then practice it. Because remember, if you think about when you were learning English as a kid, were you writing down everything you were saying? You weren't writing down diddly squat, were you?
Right.
You were just you're going to say me now this thing, and
right.
No, you have to say, I would like a biscuit. I would like a cookie. Oh, me like, no, not, I mean, I would like a cookie now, please, or else, Yeah. So we learned to speak with promises of cookies and things, and if it was useful to us, and that's how we done. And we weren't writing things down until we got past kindergarten into 5, 6. They say write down words. Oh, we have to write this stuff. And in the old days, they didn't write at all, did they?
Right.
The written word is not actually necessary. Not necessary so much. It's the spoken word, and all the religions were handed down as oral traditions, and so I learn things. I workshop all my gigs. I go out and I say, let's talk about helicopters, because I quite like helicopters. I quite like planes, but I prefer helicopters. Even though I haven't learned to fly a helicopter. And, I just go out and search for it. And if I don't get anything on helicopter, and if I go to another language, I do it. Les hélicoptères sont formidables parce qu'ils arrivent And I say, en propeller, qu'est-ce que c'est le mot pour ça? And if I don't know the word, I say, how do you say propeller? The chose on dessus, the thing on top of the helicopter. Oh, so say, and they'll tell me the word. That's how I learn. I learn that from audiences. And
we have helicopters. We have wildfires. This is the time of the year that California bursts into flame. And the funniest part is when the local news sends out the helicopter to check on the fire, and they basically hover over the flames, just shooting them out in all directions. And you go, hey, maybe we should cover this with a blimp or perhaps a drone.
And as I take it, a lot of people mention this, do they? Don't they have to stay higher so that they're not doing that? But
yeah, right. So first of all, I want to thank you. I am so taken by your work over the years, and the first time I saw you was my second date with my now wife, and we saw you 25 years ago in the Dress to Kill show at the West Beth Theater in New York, and my dear friend who set this up, Michael O'Brien, was the one who turned me on to you. So you've known Michael and, of course, Arnold Engelman for all these years.
Yeah, since then, since 97, 98. So, it's good. It's nice to work with people and continue to work with people if you can find a common ground and keep going. And I do like that. There's some people say, I've worked with you and now this person and now this person and on and on. But now all the way from West Best Theater and then we said, let's play West Coast. And that was San Francisco and LA the first times we got out of that. And Robin Williams was producer on that. Was his name.
No kidding, really?
Yeah, he wanted him and his wife, Marsha, at the time, they said, we'd like to put you on Broadway. And I thought, oh, well, that's very nice, but I don't want to do Broadway. I had this big thing that I didn't think that was the next move, but I felt playing the rest, like U2, they went out and played all the different towns and the cities, big cities around America. And I just wanted to do that. I wanted to play as many cities as possible. So San Francisco went well, and I filmed, I put my money in and said, let's film this. And then we have it. And then in LA, HBO said, we'll make a special. And I said, I've got a special. They went, oh, okay, we'll put that out. And then I got 2 Emmys, and then it was like, we're off to the races. So.
Well, I know, and the show, I think that first show it had to be close to 2 hours, and then you finished, you walked off stage, and then you came back for an encore, and I was just like, it's like you are such an intimidating as a fellow comic, and I've been doing it about 33 years.
I've done 35, so 2 years more.
That's why you're so much better. But it's amazing. It's intimidating to somebody who obviously speaks all these languages, performs in all these languages. You do long shows, you do multiple voices, and then there's all the running on top of it. And it's like, do you find people intimidated by you? And how do you find a way to sort of assuage that in people?
I don't assuage it. I just let the intimidation right on. No, I didn't. I must admit, I wouldn't think that, because I'm happy to talk to people. I'm a chatty person, so I'm happy to talk to people. But I never thought I'm going around intimidating people, because in the comedy world, if young people are doing stuff I like, I say that's really good stuff. I like it. I want us all to rise, because I think you can get somewhere and you want to hold people back. You know what? Who did this? Who's so great? Al Jolson. Yeah. He would sing and he would do jokes in between. Do bits of patter in between the songs, which you could guess. You may not know that, but you guess that. Al Jolson. You know what I'm talking about.
Sure. Yeah.
But did you know that he would hear jokes that other people had done and he would do them? And then he'd send a letter from his lawyer to that person to say cease and desist.
No kidding.
Yeah. Now that's someone who's got somewhere and wants to keep people down. But I think get somewhere and then they think, come on, try this, try that. It's not working. Have you tried moving this? I just encourage people to go forward. Shoot. If you shoot for the stars, you can reach the moon. And
that was actually Robin Williams used to take people's jokes, and then if they complained, his agent just immediately wrote them a check. He was constantly sending checks to people because He was stream of consciousness, and so he didn't always know whether he had heard the joke or he had just thought of it. That was just the kind of mind he had.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. Yeah, so I mean, I really like Robbie, but I did hear that. I sort of heard that after the fact, after he died. I didn't know it so much at the time. You guys would know because you grew up with it. But there's once or twice I have quoted someone's joke, but then I try and say, this was written by this guy. I want to say that because I just think it's so funny. And I feel that's fair because that's just saying this guy has done a really good joke, and you hopefully don't do your entire show by doing. And here's another joke that someone else did.
Well, it's very interesting because musicians, people go to see their shows. Number one, they don't want to see new shit. They want to see the classics, and they also want to see you do somebody else's work. And those are the two things you cannot do as a comedian.
Yeah, well, I'm proving that you can do it. I can do the old stuff because I'm remixing it. This is the thing.
Oh, right, your new tour.
Yeah, the new tour is the remix of the first 35 years. So I'm kind of doing what, a lot of bands have been doing for a million years. Here's this one from 35 years ago. But I also do what, if you think about chit chat that bands could do, you can do it like this one meant a lot to us. We did it 20 years ago, and here it is. And so you do about 4 lines, a paragraph, and then you go into the song. But I could actually take people through about how it was starting out stand-up, the first ever good starter joke I got, and why we needed it, and how that worked. And I can just take people through things. And so
that's interesting.
Trying to make it slightly autobiographical as well. But it is remixing. I am doing Darth Vader, Death Star Canteen, and I wanted to add pieces to it so it didn't feel like it was back in the day, but has this remix quality to it. Like just analyzing how Darth Vader talks, because I realized that Darth Vader never says chit chat. There was no chit chat. It's always, we will take these people, kill these people, and not this one, but those 2 there, and the guy with the hat on. Kill the hat. No. The hats, he's working for us? Okay. If that guy killed these 2, then I'll kill him if you could do that. Okay, just housekeeping here, guys. It's mainly about murder. and
there's a lot of time to kill on these long, they go from one end of the universe to the other. You'd think there'd be some downtime to chit-chat.
There's a lot of people to kill and time to kill. Yeah, so they were. Well, we got time to kill. Let's kill some people. But there's no. He never goes, Peterson. Peterson. How are your kids? Oh, they're dead. I killed them. I'm terribly sorry. So he never said I'm terribly sorry. I don't think. I'm terribly. He wasn't a good egg. Yeah, that's not what you can say about Darth Vader. He was a bad egg at all times.
The other one was. Who was the one that was the big furry one?
Chewbacca.
Yeah, Chewbacca was either treated, I always notice this from film to film, it changes. In one, he's like a pet, and in the next one, he's like the military leader who's at the board giving the orders. It depends on which movie it is.
I always thought he basically communicated by yawning. It seemed to be his main pattern of speech was yawning, and then Harrison Ford would go, "What? You want me to put them in the microwave now? You're tired, or you want me to do that?" But yeah. So just analyzing, my thing was about food. That was it. No one eats food in an action movie, and they still don't eat food in action movies. There is no hamburger stop. There's no, let's have a couple of drinks and chat about this. It's just look out, run. The people with it's the people with the big hats coming.
Yeah, and you would think you would need nutrition because their injuries are healing almost spontaneously. They fall out of a car, their nose is broken, and in the next scene they're in a tuxedo.
There's a lot more running to do. There's going to be a lot more running. So surely, a bacon sandwich, something should be just munched. Kit Kat, yeah. But so I'm just I can troll through all my own stuff because I'm in the middle of politics. I'm doing politics in Brighton now. I stood to try like a primary. I had a primary to try and be a member of parliament in Sheffield, and now that didn't work. I came second, so I'm going for down in Brighton, a city in the south of England, and that's what I'm campaigning at the moment. And then I'm on here doing the tour, and then I'll be back campaigning again. So it's quite intense. This year is the year of being intensive.
So as opposed to your other years, yeah. Well, So, I mean, so as far as the politics goes, so you are not a socialist, but you are a social democrat?
Well, I would consider myself. I'm a radical positivist. I'm a realistic idealist. You know, I tend not to use terms from the last century because I realized now in the 21st century, everyone's saying, "Are you this and this is and that is and this is?" And I'm just saying, I'm someone who believes in the essence of unions and the essence of business. You know, the business, you've got to have that wealth creation, new ideas build up. People get jobs, and unions then make sure people, you know, like SAG after a strike right at the moment, make sure they're honorable about this. People are getting a decent wage, a decent enough deal with AI coming up. They said they were going to put it on hold because they're trying to get the new models, financial models working with streaming and that. Now they've got them going, so let's have a proper deal. But they're not doing that. So I believe in both of them. They need to have the balance between them. The Germans, I think, did this. They put people from unions onto the board of directors so that they could be there and knowing what's going on. And the workforce.
Well, it's interesting because we're the only developed nation that doesn't have a labor party. We are so pro-business in the United States that they use the word socialist as if it is pedophile. It is the worst thing to be called by the right.
Well, it has been demonized, but I just think why bother using definitions for ourselves from the last century? Let's move on. Like progressive, because they said, "Oh, liberal, no good." Well, we're progressives now. Oh, that's different. You know, so there's people on the right who demonize the word liberal. Not in our country so much. It's just not used so much, but being progressive people do change the world. Regressives on the right just take it back. They're constantly being reactionary, push back. No, let's go back to the racist, hating LGBT times, and let's do that, can't we? I'm going, no, we need to go forward, try and make it a fair world for 8 billion people. It's not just your country, it's not just our country or our continent. It's the entire world. We've got to get there for 8 billion people. My world view is everyone in the world has the right to a fair chance in life. Yes. If we're not fighting for that, I think that's something that most people in the world, 99% of the world, would say, that sounds fair. That sounds okay. I've spent ages defining that one sentence.
What do you think is the main reason why that 98% of people is not getting a chance at a fair life?
It's not that 98% of people are not, I say 98, 99% of people are happy to fight for everyone having a fair chance in life. There's 2 billion people on very low wages, so they're not getting the fair chance because there's certain people in control. Certain people get to positions of power and control, and they want to keep people down. And there's the rest of us who are more progressive. If we get to positions of power, we want to bring people up. I think that is the difference between the right wing, push people down, and the more progressives. People who say, okay, you've got to get yourself to a decent place, otherwise you can't live, you can't pay your bills, and then try and bring people up and say everyone should have a decent life, give everyone a chance, enough education, enough decent housing, enough medical health. The years, the decades that you fought just to get a national health service, and people would demonize that in America, saying, well, that's a socialist system. Well, firefighters, the firefighters are a socialist system. Well, you can have them. Why? Well, it's, trying to have people on a lower income have decent enough healthcare. That should be a right in your country, my country, and around the world. It's just. And how do you
feel? And then, as far as Brexit goes, obviously that's that's a step in the wrong direction.
That came. It's a lot of people feeling that the thing has been done wrong there, and. So it won't be part of the next election, but, I'm doing gigs in French, German, and Spanish. I believe in making connections, not breaking connections. They said get Brexit done, but it looks like we got done by Brexit. But it's not making, they said we're going to have immense amounts of wealth, multiple jobs for everyone. It hasn't happened. There's lots of shortages, lots of Brexit bureaucracy. And so, but it's not part of the next thing because everyone got a bit tired of fighting this. It really is like a civil war. It split people down in families down the middle.
And you were born in Ireland. I'm a little confused.
No, Yemen, born in Yemen.
Yemen. But you lived in Ireland for a brief period.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm confused about the effect that this has on the Irish Republic in terms of the North still being part of the United Kingdom and there being a border now.
You're confused about it. What about us?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing that's going on. So there is a border, but there isn't a border. And then you have the Protestant, the hardline Protestants going, there can never be a border between Northern Ireland and the mainland because we're part of you. And then there's the Republicans in there who say, well, we don't mind if we're staying part of Europe. And, it's this whole idea that the whole lot of workers' rights rules that were built into the European Union that were trying to help people who were working away, doing a working life. And the right wing was saying, we're going to burn those up and just chuck that out the window. We're having lots of problems with sewage. They had lots of rules about don't chuck sewage into the sea, but it seems that the country's doing it. The Conservatives are having a very bad time. They're way down in the polls. It's still some time, it could be a year and a quarter before the next general election, but I'm pushing hard to be in Brighton. Brighton's a wonderful city with tourism, the South Downs, you can go wonderful walks there. Lots of people come down. It's like London by the sea, very groovy, very positive, great restaurants. And I tell everyone in California, come to Brighton. It's a wonderful place. And I grew up there. I grew up there in my childhood, and with 300 years of Izzards in East Sussex, which is the county around Brighton. So, yeah, that's
well, it's got to be good because the pinball wizard played there. From Soho down to Brighton.
Soho down to Brighton. And all the mod kids were down there. And it used to be kind of rough, but now it's very positive LGBTQ plus community down there. Very positive about Europe reaching out, making connections, not breaking them. Yeah. And great Pride March, which we had this year in a storm, like one of your storms. You do storms in a much bigger way in America. We're going to do some big storms. Come on, let's do storms. So I don't know why it is that the weather systems really love to spin around, possibly because you're such a big land mass and they like to spin out the east. It's more the East Coast, isn't it? But we had our own version of a torrential downpour and a Pride March. But all the people in Brighton and surrounding in East Sussex, they all came out and they stood in the rain. So we marched in the rain and waved, and it was a wonderful day.
That's amazing. It is interesting now that, it started off, the whole idea, when I saw you 25 years ago walk on stage in women's shoes and lipstick, I hadn't seen a lot. And I grew up in New York, and I'd obviously seen a lot of people, cross-dressing people, transvestites, but I had never seen somebody, run a show, a stand-up comedian. And I thought, God, at first I was like, wow, it kind of hit me. And by the end of the show, I just thought it was the most beautiful thing in the world. And the fact that you're one of the people that is normalizing it at a time when it is so under attack. It has gone from 0 to 60 in this country in 2 years. And it's mind-boggling.
Well, there's one positive thing about this, because when I came out 38 years ago in 1985, there was no conversations about it. So even though there's heated conversations, and I would say some transphobic people, you talk about normalization, I put an added adjective in, a positive normalization, which is what I'm trying to do, and negative normalization, which is what the Nazis did, of saying, hey, we're going to kill all these people and restrict these people and push all these people back, or what Trump's doing, that's negative normalization. So the positive normalization, saying, look, I'm out, I'm being honest and telling the truth in this world of Boris Trump, where two people who ended up running your country and my country were just lying upon lying upon lying upon lying. And so the trans people are here, the people having heated conversations. But as a gay activist said to me, this is the time that you have to go through. We have to go through this period. Like on marriage equality, they said men marry men, women marry women, cats are going to marry dogs. What's going to go on? Yeah. And we went through all that kind of crazy talk. And then now marriage equality, it's for love. It's for love. We always said it was for love. Right. Oh, right. Okay. And things are now moved on. So this is just our time to go through it. It's actually, I think the transphobic people are saying, we haven't got an elected trans MP yet. I could be the first. Being the first is not the point. But if there is one, then there could be two. And if there's two, then it could be four. And then they think, oh my God, and then that's the end of everything. But it's some people are setting women's rights against trans rights, and that's wrong because it's not. Right. They shouldn't be fighting against each other. And that comes from more right-wing thinking. And they just, the Tories.
That's what they did in the 70s when with lesbians in the women's movement, they were very much pitted against each other. And then it was further splintered by the Black community, by Black women. and they effectively shut that whole movement down in the, by the mid 70s by demonizing them against each other.
Well, it's something we just have to hang tough, as you guys would say, and just, I'm just living my life. I have a career. I'm doing comedy now. I'm going to do Hamlet in January in New York, just like I did Great Expectations, playing all the roles.
Oh, yeah. Can we talk about that for a minute? Because that was my favorite book of all time growing up. And let me get this straight. So you did a one-person show where you played 19 characters from the book?
That's it. And the technique I got was from Richard Pryor, where I saw him. I come from comedy like Monty Python. I played different characters with different voices and physicality. And I saw him doing it with having two characters talking while he was playing both of them. And I thought, I can do that in my stand-up. Then that would be good. It seemed to be a good place to take the comedy. So that's what I did. I've done it all through my stand-up. And then I suddenly thought I can do it in drama as well. Why not? So
wow.
Did the audio book for Great Expectations. It's over 20 hours. And then my brother adapted it down to an hour and a half. It's about 2 hours now. We've extended it a little. So that's what we did in New York. Got rave reviews in New York. Took it to London. Got rave reviews there. So that now exists. I can do that anytime, anywhere. I'll never date. And then on the back of that, I was already planning to do Hamlet, a solo Hamlet, playing Hamlet and Ophelia and Laertes and Gertrude and Poloni. So I just played all the.
So what made you pick Hamlet to do?
Well, I wanted to do Shakespeare. It scared me a lot as a kid. I'm severely atypically dyslexic. Reading books was difficult. Words, Elizabethan verse, tricky for us. Americans would go, well, that's kind of tricky. How do we grab hold of that? But in Britain, we're going, well, how do we grab hold of it? It's from stuff from 400 years ago. And it's not even how they talked 400 years ago. If you see the gravedigger scene in that, that's done with prose speech. That's done with ordinary speech. And so that's how they were talking 400 years ago. But there was this technique of doing iambic pentameter, and that's what Hamlet's become, all the Shakespeare stuff. And the Elizabethan writing of that time has become famous of, Christopher Marlowe as well, and Kidd and all the other guys, Ben Jonson. And I just thought they're not giving it to me. They're not letting me play Hamlet. I'm not top of the list, The trans person who could go into politics, does comedy and does drama as well, but not that much, not as much as anyway. So I thought I'll just do it myself. So Great Expectations is like a twin thing planned with the idea of doing Hamlet as well.
And why did you pick Great Expectations?
It was actually picked. I want to do Dickens. I'm 150 years to the day younger than him. He's older, of course. He was born 7th of February, 1812. I'm 7th of February, 1962. So we got this one weird 150 years link that doesn't really mean anything, but I decided to run with it. I never read a great work of literature, so I wanted to read one, and I thought, I have this Dickens link, let's do Dickens. And it's also London, and I love London and stuff, and London-based. And they chose it. They said, let's do Dickens, because then kids read it for the exams they do when they're in their teenage years, and it's on the curriculum. That was a sort of practical idea behind it. But it's a great book. It's a mature book, one of his later books. And so that was it. They said, do it. I did it as an audiobook, and that's out there. You can download that anytime of me doing that. And then I made the
How does first of all, my wife, I call my wife's nickname is Madame Havisham because we got married 24 years ago, and for some crazy reason, her wedding dress is still hanging on the inside of her closet door. So every time you walk in our bedroom, we have people visit the house, and they walk in and they're like, why the fuck is your wedding dress hanging on the door? So how did you do a voice for Madame Havisham? Can you give me like a sample of Madame Havisham versus like Pip?
Well, Pip was me. So Pip ended up being me when he was. It's a little tricky to just suddenly dive into it because.
All right, unfair question.
But I would do this, the opening scene talking about my father. I never saw my father or my mother. Never saw any likeness of either of them for their days, long before photographs, our wondrous new invention. So it's a time when photographs had just been invented. And he's talking away, and he's in this churchyard, and he's looking at the gravestone of his parents. And suddenly this guy goes, "Hold your noise, you little devil, I'll cut your throat." And then I say, it's a fearful man, all in coarse grey with a great iron around his leg, a man with no hat, with broken shoes, with an old rag tied round his head. Tell us your name, quick. It's Pip, sir. Who do you live with? I live with my sister, wife of Joe Gardner, the blacksmith, sir. Was blacksmith, eh? So it's going between this for him and Pip's right, talking like a small child there, and later on Pip has to mature. And I did it in one scene where he's practicing English and trying to get from, well, I don't know why he should be doing this, and he has to go that into a more studied accent, and then
so he loses the Cockney.
He loses a more rural accent. So it's more like that because Magnum's got the more London accent. And then Miss Havisham, I said, who is it? Who is it there? Come close, I want to see you. Yes, I have a sick fancy. I want to see some play there, play. And I had to do that separation of her and Estella says, you're Pip, are you? And it had to be like I tried to bring Havisham higher in the register. And you're Pip. Well, it's an odd name, Pip. What do you play, Pip? Nothing but beg your neighbor. And she's, he's got coarse hands. What horrible things. No, I don't like you at all. You're useless. You're a waste of space. What a rugged, coarse little individual you are. And she's just always ice to him. Yes. And she makes him cry. And then she looks at him with a quick delight in having made him cry. And so separating Estella from Havisham I was very keen to do, and Biddy, another female character. There's one more female character somewhere else, not coming to mind, but I had to separate them. Magwitch, he'd be London down there. Then there's Wemmick, who works with Mr. Jaggers, and he's, yeah, you knew Randy. He's again, he's London, but he's much more up here in a much more chirpy kind of way, doing up there. Mr. Jaggers is very serious. And they're all versions of me. Right? I imagine myself as Jaggers. If I was a lawyer, I've got to be a lawyer who's always on the right side of the law. You cannot get Jaggers on the wrong side of the law. And Mr. Wormick, law, yeah, I'll take you around this. Here we are. This is where you're staying, mate. And then Magwitch comes right down the ear again. So you just learn to be able to snap jump to them.
That's amazing.
And in comedy, what we do is we do thumbnail sketches if we do characters. We just have a go at them and then we move on. But these ones you'd keep coming back to, and they had to be exactly the same Magwitch, exactly the same physicality, the same way. Mate. All right, go on, let's try it, do it, mate. And just
what about the character Herbert? I remember in English class, was Herbert part of the play?
Yeah, Herbert. Everyone loves Herbert. Says, "Oh, are you this? I didn't know. I thought you were by the midday coach. Terrible, sorry. Well, here we are. This is it, and this is where I live, and this is where you'll stay here. But it's your money we're using. I don't know. Anyway, let me tell you the story. Miss Havisham, her father, very rich country gentleman, and so he was a kind of a talking 10 to the dozen. And whereas Pip was, oh, really? I didn't know that was happening. Yes, it happened all the time. So you could physicalize it as well, and you could brush it through, and then gradually Herbert becomes part of the escape and helping out and becomes more serious. He's not saying things which are so offhand and odd.
There was my English teacher in high school. He had a theory that the two of them had sort of a homoerotic relationship with each other, that there were moments where there was a lot of hand-holding and there was a lot of vulnerability, and they told each other they loved each other. Was that clear for you at all?
I didn't feel that particularly, but was Dickens trying to suggest that? I don't think so, because I think, in those days, that wouldn't really help his storytelling. Can we retrospectively put this back in? I don't know. I didn't feel that overtly, but, I once, I fancy women, even though I'm trans, but I once, maybe twice, had a strong relationship with another kid at school, but that was in a friendship. Come on, you do this, I'll do that. Yeah, God, and we just sort of symbiotic, is that the word? Just hitting on the same level. I think they're both young kids trying to get on in life, but Pip's got all this money that's been given to him, and Herbert hasn't, and he's trying to help him to get on. I made Herbert a little more bonkers than he was, but I quite like making him bonkers.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but that was a really nice showcase of the different.
No, well, it's great. I mean, the New York critics raved about it, the London critics raved about it. So very happy with that. And now just got to land Hamlet in January.
Yeah. I just wanted to touch on the running as well, because I know you've raised a tremendous amount of money and awareness through your different runs. I hope I got it straight, but from what I've read, in 2009, you ran 43 marathons in 51 days for sport relief. In 2016, you ran 27 marathons in 27 days in South Africa.
Yeah.
In 2020, you ran 28 marathons in 28 days, traveling all around Europe to run in a different European capital city.
Yeah.
And then the last one was 2021. You ran 31 marathons and did 31 shows in 31 countries in 31 days without leaving London, because you did it on a treadmill.
During lockdown. Yeah, it was during lockdown.
Is that all of the runs?
Yes, that is also apart from training marathons and other things. It's about 130 plus marathons now. We've raised over £4 million, about $5 million for charity. So that's great. I'm very proud of that, for charities in the UK and all around the world, and one particularly in New York, helping kids on the street get off the street, and that's great. And so I just, I got somewhere and I wanted to help other people get somewhere. I'm born in Yemen, a country that had a civil war, helped raise £100,000 for them. And there's an article in the BBC today about some young blind kid, Yemeni kid, who helped keep his school going when it was bombed to hell in the Civil War. And you see the school, it is essentially just a few walls, and the whole wall and the roof is blown off. But he kept it going, and this little kid, he was taking school, and he's blind. So they now have teachers coming in and helping him. So that's great. It's great to be able to help. Some people get to a good place in their life and they don't want to help. They want to keep people back. I think progressive people, we want to get somewhere good and we want to bring people up, and regressive people want to get somewhere people back.
I had an epiphany recently, and I'll run it by you, is that the right is all about me and the left is more about we. Is that fair?
Yeah. I'd say, the right and the progressives, because the progressives can be anywhere on the spectrum, from the center to the left. There's some Republicans want to help, and they're the ones pushing back on Trump, probably standing up and saying, this was a lie, guys, you've got to do that. And these members of the Proud Boys or whatever, they're getting 20 years in this, and them saying, I didn't really mean it, and I didn't want to do it, and I didn't do anything. It did it. The assault on democracy, try to tear down America's democracy, which is built in such a beautiful way, pushing back on the British and their monarchy system. The only weird thing about all this is that America is still obsessed with monarchy. Oh my God! And when I was playing,
isn't that weird?
Yeah, I know, and it's because it's celebrity is what it's about. It's not overtly the monarchy thing. But I remember being in LA when Diana was coming for a visit, and everyone's going, "Oh my gosh, she's going to a party! I gotta get a ticket! Oh my God!" And I was going, "This is the monarchy system that you guys said is no good." And really? Did we say that? I don't really remember. Get me a ticket to that party. I want to see Lady Diana. Oh my God, what dress is she wearing?
But you guys made a statement, because when King Charles was having his coronation party, I just remember he was asking Adele and Harry Styles, the Spice Girls, and they all said no to performing at the coronation.
Well, some said yes, some said no. I don't.
Elton John said no.
Sorry?
Elton John said no.
Elton John said no. That's interesting. Well, anyway, I think Charles and Camilla will make decent king and queen. I think they're trying to help. He was talking about climate change way before it was cool to talk about it. He was doing organic farming. I think he's trying to help. He has been brought up in a monarchy system. It has been like, so there's going to be things that he does that I think, that's not how I would do it. But I think they're trying to help. And I think they're more enlightened. Phil definitely wasn't enlightened. Liz tried, she wasn't chosen, she wasn't born to that thing in the sense some other kids, the kids of Edward VIII, were going to be the next kids. And then suddenly she's an oldest sister saying, no, you're going to be the next queen. Oh, my God. And so I always thought that there was more things that she could do, but I think that Charles and Camilla are going to try and do that. They've got to feel their way in. And he's been waiting with the patience of a saint for, God, he's in his 70s. So he was waiting from 50 years since he was 20, 19. You know, so I say give him that, and enlightened monarchy. Monarchy is trying to help, or people who in the monarchy system are trying to help. They can really help. I say judge monarchy people by what they do in life. That's it. The titles, forget the titles. I'm not bothered by the titles. I don't need to go to a thing, but you know, people didn't turn up on the thing because I don't know. I can never tell. Some people do go to monarchy things, some people don't. I tend not to, but I did do a gig for Charles, and I would have done more for his charity, the Prince's Trust, because it was trying to help young kids get a start in life.
So you look at it more as the positive way to look at it is they've got a platform and they can use it for good if they choose to.
Absolutely. And if they are, and, you know, if we look at, we know what Charles is going to kind of do. I think 70 years he's been doing these things. I don't think it's going to have a sudden character change to start going off in a different direction. And even the Queen, I think, did things towards the end, which I thought were very positive, going to the Republic of Ireland and meeting the president there, meeting Martin McGuinness from Sinn Féin up in Northern Ireland, and hanging on when she was ill until Boris Johnson had gone. Because I think Boris Johnson was hoping, because I don't know if you remember this, some people in America remember, Boris Johnson resigned and then said, I'm going to hang on for 6 months.
Right.
Which is like, what?
Yeah.
We didn't know what the hell. We thought, well, you've gone, so we'll please. It's called Borexit, which is where Boris Johnson exits.
Yeah.
And then there was this 6 months. We thought, what is that about? Is that he's trying to help? And I think basically he waited and waited, and I think he was hoping or planning or whatever that the Queen might pass away, and then there would be another coronation. And he'd say, I have to stick around to keep the continuation. Right. The country needs a leader at the time. And the Queen hung on, and then Boris had to go, and then she died 2 days later. I think that was a woman who was hanging on to he was out of this way because he just lied. If we give in to the endless lies of Trump and Boris Johnson, humanity will not have a hope. We won't make it. We have to.
It's really frightening because it isn't, like you said, it's not local. I mean, you see what's happening in Poland and you know, countries in Central America. There is this shift to the right that is nothing short of fascist. And if they start joining forces, you know, who knows what's next?
I don't know if it's a shift to the right. From my examination, I just think it's always been there. It's the Hitler playbook without the mass murder. But then Hitler didn't do the mass murder until he got into a war situation. 1942 is when all the final solution stuff started happening. Before that, they were just doing general murder and being horrible, But the lying playbook, it is a thing of, well, if I lie and then I lie again, then I lie again, then I lie again, you cannot keep up with my lies. Yeah. And some people say, well, yeah, why don't we do that lying stuff, that right-wing lying stuff? And also, if you pander to a certain base that says, we just want things as they were when we could be, you know, talk about some people have been excluded, where they feel excluded by the system, you know. There's a word for it, which it's not grabbing at the moment. But some people are sort of being pushed back by general society because they are being hateful to other people who have different skin colors, or they are being hateful to LGBT, just to any other people. No, this is the 21st century. This is the century where you have to say, live and let live.
Right.
You have to find a way to get on and not go out and encourage hatred, encourage violence against other people. And that's what the right wing likes to do. They start with fear. They begin with fear. Who can we get people to be scared of? They have call them the culture wars in Britain. I don't know if you call them that, but it's a right wing idea. Let us encourage women's rights to be set against trans rights. Let us encourage people to hate people, and then we win.
Immigration is always immigration is always one of the first things on the board. Let's go after. And, you know, in this country, we're already seeing kickback from it. You've got crops that are dying in the fields because we have relied on immigrant labor for 100 years in this country. And, you know, products can't be made. And we're trying to build the economy right now. You can't do that with a shortage of workers.
We've got it from Brexit. This is again the Brexit bureaucracy, and we got done by Brexit. So yeah, it's a thing. But if you track immigration back, it goes back to the tribunes and the Romans, and they had the senators, and then the tribunes were set up because there were people who'd come into the city of Rome. They're doing most of the work, and then the patricians, they were all saying, they were the lords of the ladies at the time, and they were saying, these people work for us, and we don't do any work. Just sit around like an I, Claudius, and eat grapes and drink and have vomitariums. And those people had no representatives. They said, well, you're not, you're Roman citizens, but you haven't been here as long as we have. And so they set up the tribunes to give them a sort of vote in the system. I don't quite work out how that works. I need to do more research on that. But that idea of we were here first and you weren't, so we dislike you, that has been there since the dawn of times. And the cave people communities were saying, we've been in this cave a lot longer than you have. You came into your cave just last year, and we were in this cave 3 years ago. So,
the moral of the story is eventually the fall of Rome was from the barbarians that they wouldn't give rights to. They finally fed up and they overran the city.
They overran the city because they were, and in the end, the only thing that's going to work is the thing that I think people are happy enough to fight for. Everyone in the world should have a fair chance in life. That thing, not a free life, but a fair chance. Yeah, and I think 99% of the world would be happy to fight for that. Everyone should have a fair chance. And then the idea that one side is going to go and attack another side, no, why? Because we're almost at this place we are at this place where we have a fair chance in life. Can I envisage that future? I didn't know, but we have got a lot better around the world. I mean, you think about the Scandinavians, you now think of the Scandinavians as good healthcare, decent standard of living. They work to try and do things. They were the Vikings. These are the Viking guys. So these Viking guys turned into people saying, well, we will help you. They do Scandi noir kind of thrillers, which is great. That's kind of scary, but that's where their darkness has gone. And it's not as simplistic as that, but it is. They're not doing Viking raids anymore. We've gone beyond this idea of the warlords. If you think what monarchs were, they were just warlords with bigger hats on. And
that's why my favorite comic strip is. You ever read Hagar the Horrible about the Viking? And there's always, every few weeks, there's one. I still read the comics all the time. It's like my guilty pleasure. And there's always one every few weeks where him and his men are raiding a castle and they leave with all the treasures and a couple of women over their shoulders. Like, okay, so we're putting rape in the Sunday papers? That's still part of the humor of the Vikings?
I think it was called, they were thinking it was transportation or whatever. But yeah, this was the thing. They used to do human sacrifice. This is the thing. That's one area of humanity that we have got beyond human sacrifice. Not even Trump, I think, is putting forward human sacrifice as the next policy position.
Right. So I wanted to ask you also about, I was such a huge fan of Sinead O'Connor, and I'm wondering, did you ever meet her, and what was your reaction to her passing?
Yeah, it was very sad. I did meet her once. I do believe I did meet her once. She did things which were quite strident sometimes, and things in a different way than that's how I would do them. But it was great. It's the time of more and more Irish people coming onto the world stage and being there and having a presence and doing creative things. And I'm always for that because if you take England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland, there's more population in England, so it's more like there's more English people who get known for things. But when you've got Welsh people coming through, Richard Burton and anyone else who's Welsh, if you've got Irish people from U2 and other bands, Sinead O'Connor, any other bands that were coming through, and anyone Scotland, they've been doing fantastic things for years. I like that. Just you want the respect and the salutes going out in all different directions. That's just in our little sphere of where we grew up, because I grew up in Northern Ireland, and I spoke like a Northern Irish kid when I was 3, 4, or 5. And that's how I used to talk in the streets. But then when we came back into the house, then we would not be talking like that. We had to talk English in the house, and then we didn't even know we were doing it, but that's what we're doing. And Dad never told us, but he told someone else that we were doing that. We were talking like that. So we were to these other kids. Ballyholme Primary School. That's where I went.
Uh-huh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We would all sat in the classroom and counted out numbers like that. Paint a house now with mom and dad. All right. And then that accent went away, but I got it back.
Yeah, I had a roommate for a couple of years who was from Belfast, and I was the only one. We go out with a bunch of my friends. I had to interpret. I was the only one that could understand what the hell he was talking about. All right. Well, listen, I don't want to hold you up because I really I appreciate your time. It means a lot to me that you sat down with me, and I want to remind people. By the way, this is the craziest thing. I've been watching for the last few days. I've just gone down the rabbit hole of your work, and I had a dream last night that I was wearing high heels, and I was with all my friends, and I had them in a bag because I had to keep sneaking them on, but I really wanted to wear the shoes.
That's what you come out. All my work comes out to a pair of high heels. But there's trans rights.
Yeah. Oh, when I was a kid, I remember I used to put on my mom's stockings and her shoes, and she would get very upset. So maybe, who knows? Maybe she stepped on something. So the Remix tour is coming up. You were going to be in Nashville, Atlanta, Raleigh, DC, Philly, Boston, New York, Ottawa, Toronto, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Chicago, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, San Diego, San Francisco, Seattle, Vancouver, Portland, Salt Lake City, Denver. And that's just through November. And then you're going to wrap it up in England in December, first week of December. So can't recommend it enough. How long are your shows on the road?
They're about an hour and a half to 2 hours, something like that.
Any opening act?
No, just me. I'm the opening act and I'm the closing act. And I never have opening acts because I just go on a bit, I just talk to you.
That's great. All right. Well, I highly recommend it. And what's the website people can get tickets at?
EddieIzzard.com. Very complicated. EddieIzzard.com.
IZZ. Okay. Good.
And this will be probably the last tour before I go into politics, hopefully become an MP in Brighton Pavilion in that wonderful city down in the south.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you. Wish you all the best in the next stage of a very interesting chapters of lives. And hopefully see you again in person someday.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. All the best.
Cheers.